Just find high blood pressure. That's the test is put on hold for you to go get the medical condition resolved. Now, you don't have to put a job on hold indefinitely. There should be an administrative policy. We'll put this job on hold for you for a week or 2 weeks, whatever your policy could be. Or we won't put this job on hold, but if it's available, when you come back, if the medical condition is corrected, if the job's available, that's reasonable. So, for example, Summer J has a 2-week policy. You got to get, if it's not corrected in 2 weeks, then you can come back and reapply like a new candidate later on, but we're not holding the job. And some companies say, we can't hold jobs. We just don't have them. When we have a job opening, we got to fill it. When it's filled, it's filled. You don't have to create a new job. You don't have to create a new job. You don't have to change essential functions, and you don't have to change your standards for production. The EEOC says you don't have to do any of those. You maintain, you can hold a person with a disability to the same production standards as anybody else. If the accommodation will not bring them to production level, then you haven't truly accommodated them, and if the accommodation is unreasonable, you can't get it, then you can't offer it. But if I say I can accommodate you, but you can't do the work everybody else can do in the same position, who's not disabled, then it's not a sufficient accommodation, and you don't have to accommodate. However, when the test recipient does not perform the job safely, and if there's no disability, if it's not age-related, not because they're female, then you can simply withdraw the job offer. In fact, honestly, technically in the law, although I don't recommend it, on anybody who fails your test, you can just say you failed and forget about them. Because honestly, under the law, the employee is required, the applicant is required to request accommodation release. However, it creates unnecessary legal hassles when they don't do that, and they go straight to EEOC and they file a claim, and the EEOC is very anxious to file a claim. So, they did this, and they give them their own version of it, and then the EEOC is going to do an investigation. That means it's going to tie you up, responding to it. You're going to say, well, they never requested an accommodation. You put that in writing, and all that kind of stuff. So, we have some recommendations about that. We think you can go extremely prophylactic and say, everybody who fails our test, regardless of reason, we're going to do an interactive accommodation review. And then you're covered, blanket. Or, in our case, somebody fails, Worksaver's on the phone with you, we can't give you medical information, but they failed because they have a disability. They failed because they're female. Or they failed and they're over age 40. And we recommend that you do an accommodation review. So we help you through that. But none of our clients have ever been sued for that or fined for that, fined at all, because we interact with our clients on a very aggressive level. As soon as when somebody tells us, this person, QA says, Dr. Bush, this guy failed, he's 64 years old, and he couldn't squat without falling backwards. He's going to the North Slope. And I said, well, that's legitimate. He said, North Slope's they're not going to be able to accommodate that, but we need to tell the company to at least do an interactive review. And that's it. You can do fit for duty evaluations on incumbent employees. Can you do one like every 2 years across the board? And by the way, as you know, post offer pre-placement testing for new hire has to be done across the board for that specific job title. Not for all the employees in your company. You may have people that work in offices. You don't need to test or don't want to test, but labor-intensive jobs, if you do it for a welder, you got to do it for all welders. If you do it for an operator, you got to do it for all operators. Fit for duty, you can do across the board for a specific job title if it's a job that deals with public safety, like a firefighter, police officer. If it's not public safety, but it's an extremely strenuous job, that if a person doesn't keep physically fit, they can get hurt, you can justify that as well. But 90% of my clients do fit for duty for cause, meaning that either the employee came up and requested an accommodation. You say, okay, we're going to do a fit for duty because what's the best way to find out what kind of accommodation you need? Let's do a fit for duty exam. Or if someone's observed having problems related to a known medical condition, somebody keeps fainting over and over while on the job and they are diabetic. You got to do a fit for duty exam. Observe symptoms, you don't have to, but you should. observe symptoms indicating possible medical condition that threaten safety. You don't know what's wrong with them, but they're turning blue in the face when they go up the stairs and they got stopped and they're panting and they can't keep up and their productivity is falling. Something's changed. You got receipt of reliable information that an employee has a medical condition that threatens safety. He's just been told by one of your employees that John Smith just got involved in a serious car accident, and that's why he's been out for 2 weeks. You know, he's just called in sick, but he's been involved in a car accident. If you feel that information is reliable, you can bring the person in. You don't ask them what their medical condition is, but you can ask them, are you able to do the job? Were you involved in a car accident? You can ask them those kind of questions. And based on their answers, you can say, we want you to do a fit to duty exam to make sure you're still safe to do the job. Following return from leave, when an employer has a reasonable belief that an employee's ability may be impaired and threaten safety. No, it keeps coming down to immediate threat to safety. As long as you keep along those lines, you'll see. Expected failure rates by physical man level. If you have, let me see how, I just put this chart in. The yellow represents fail. I guess that's green. It represents pass. You can see for people in medium level jobs, occasional lifting up to 50 pounds, frequent lifting up to 25 pounds, you can expect a 5 to 8% failure rate. If they're heavy work, lifting up to 100 pounds, occasionally 50 pounds frequently, 9 to 12% of your applicant. If it's very heavy, lifting over 100 pounds, occasionally up to 100 pounds frequently, 12 to 18% easily. Depends also on the conditions here in Alaska. And you might get this range. What are we seeing, Lori? Is Lori still here?
Yeah, we see about 15% on
15%?
all tests. In some industries and some specific jobs, definitely up to 20.
Right. Now, you're going to see two things happen. This small, relatively small percent of your applicant pool is going to account for 99% of your costs and injury. You're going to see another thing happen. As people talk, believe me, applicants talk. People applying for work talk. People know people who do the kind of same work they do. And they say, don't go apply for ASRC because they're doing this Worksaver Beacon fit for duty exam. Go work for this other company. They're not doing that type of testing because you've had 3 back surgeries and a total knee replacement. You're probably not going to be hired. What you're going to see is that your applicant pool improves over time. And I think some of the feedback from the companies has been exactly that. They see their applicant pool. We're going to do outcome metrics. We're going to give you Worksaver reports. This is no additional cost. Return on investment, your statistics on who passed, failed, and the benefits you're going to see prevention of injuries that would otherwise, when walking through the door, you're going to see, you're going to identify medical conditions that render a person unfit or unsafe for the job placement. You're going to look at pre-existing impairments and have those measured. And you can provide, we're going to also provide training to each of your applicants on body mechanics and proper lift technique and proper carry technique. And and also the reports can provide an accurate basis for a safe return to work and accommodation. Why would you try to get somebody to get back to 120 degrees of trunk flexion when they never had it in the first place? You know, it was 100, you know. So you don't want to, so that baseline gives you rehab people a target. Where do we need to get them back to be similar to what they were before the injury? And that is essentially kind of a nutshell of the program. But I think you can see the way we do this by combining the medical examination with the functional, by understanding the laws that deal with all these different entities, we protect both the client and the applicant in a return to work case. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions. Yes.
What about eye exam?
Well, that's we don't do that in this part of our test. If you need eye exam, blood analysis, urine analysis, lung capacity, vital capacity, that will be going for your standard medical or your PA or your medical doctor, your medical clinic test. We are a functional capacity testing process.
Yeah, Rick, I think the clarification there is when he mentions the exam that occurs at this fit for duty, it's a musculoskeletal exam versus what we do down with our PAs and doctors or practitioners.
Yes, there are certain things that they do that we don't do, and there are certain things we do that they don't do. So we're complementary to a standard medical exam where you get the eye exam, audiometry, hearing. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, sir.
You mentioned public safety earlier. A correctional officer, I work for Department of Corrections, or a police officer may or may not ever get into a physical altercation, but the
Right.
possibility is there. Can you test them all to the maximum of what could possibly happen? Is that reasonable? Because it's a reasonable thing that could happen. Can you test them to that level?
Yeah, it's very difficult to measure the maximum on, as you know, you could be fighting a guy who's 18 years old, 6'6", on meth. How do
Skinny
you,
guy on meth is bad, okay?
Yeah.
They're bad, I'll make that.
yeah, he slams his fist through the window to get at you and you go, how do you measure that?
Right.
So, no, but we do create tests for police officers that are very strenuous, you know, in terms of agility demands, aerobic capacities, how fast they can run, a certain pace like that, the ability to jump over a cyclone fence, and things like that. But it's very difficult to measure the ability to fight off another person. As you know, there's techniques, jiu-jitsu, and all these things that you guys learn that you can use body leverages. But there's not like, okay, can you pick up a 180-pound man throwing over? No, we don't do that.
On the respiratory side of that, they may be required to escort nurses into a cell with TB. Can we make it mandatory that all officers, even though they could use administrative controls by scheduling, have somebody who could and couldn't? Can we reject employment for somebody like that and make it a precondition?
A precondition that they what?
They able to wear N95.
Yeah, absolutely.
Respiratory, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's covered. And in fact, I got legal issues on that. Anything like that, y'all email me. If everybody give me their emails, I'm going to send a copy of this presentation to you. And once you have that presentation, if you have specific questions ever about this testing, I promise this is not a marketing ploy. This is strictly an educational ploy. I will put you on my newsletter, my electronic newsletter. You can reject it when it comes to you if you decide you don't want it. But on my new newsletter, it's going to cover the latest fitness for duty testing, legal issues and methodologies. It's going to test ergonomic tips and wellness tips. But any specific question like that, I can actually not only tell you yes or no, but my lawyer, the ex-OSHA judge, will give you the actual case study.
So I really like your ROI reports that you send out. Unfortunately, unless it's in a contract to do FFD, a lot of people aren't doing it and they're considering a cost savings. So once that group does unfortunately have an incident, I can line that up. And I'm like, here's what you would have saved.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's more expense up front, but here's what you could have saved.
Oh, yeah.
So really like that report.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's, the cost savings is tremendous, and if companies really realize how much they're paying when they don't do this testing, if they really would analyze it the way you're supposed to, your direct cost and your indirect cost, they'd be.
Even if you go on the low end, it's still a huge cost.
Thank you. The way we do our ROI report, we give you the low end without surgery. We used to have 3 tiers: without surgery, simple recovery, with surgery, and the 3rd tier with litigation. We cut out the 3rd tier with litigation because it was just so variable. It's enough to get a good estimate on the other 2, but to get an estimate on litigation. But you know, litigation, just to defend a simple lawsuit case is $40,000, $50,000 easy. It's just easy. It's just the initial attorney fees. That's why I don't like having any doors open or windows left open for litigation, because even if you can defend it and win, you're still spending all this money to defend it. Yes, sir.
So how would you, if you're talking to an employer and you're recommending that they go through this process and they say, well, gee, our competition doesn't do this and I'm concerned about the legal perspective, the EOC, ADA, whatnot. And I know you mentioned during the presentation, which was very good in regards to, share this information with the employer, but I'm still a little vague to me how that all works, legally, or how you respond to it.
On the protected health information?
Yeah.
Okay, we have it all stored in our, I'm glad you mentioned this because I forgot to mention it. We store the complete medical exam that we do is about 8 to 10 pages long. And it contains everything about this person, plus the fact that we have a medical questionnaire to complete it and all that. That's all scanned and uploaded to a system called DocStore. Now your company is given a HIPAA compliant access code through our web port to get to your company's files, and you can download any report once it's logged on. Once you're logged on, that becomes the company's responsibility. That the person who does that is, first of all, HIPAA certified, and they're doing it for just cause. The other option, so companies say, we want that access code. Some companies say, we don't want it. If we need that report, we'll call you or email you and have you send it. And because it might be for a case that opens up later on, litigation, and they want the proof that the person had a pre-existing condition, or it could be a safety issue, that if somebody keeps having medical issues and they want to look at the safety officer wants to look just at the evaluation to help him do what he needs to do to give this information. Also, there is language, I can email you, that it should be a warning about providing genetic information on your medical history questionnaire. It's standard language that the EEOC wants you to have that says you're protected by GINA, you're not required to provide any information on your family medical history, but you have a safe harbor clause that if a person, an employee does give you that information indirectly, and says, oh yeah, I have arthritis, you know, and here my whole family has it, you're protected because this was not done, it's not from your own inquiry. Tell me about your family history. Somebody can just tell you, or through some report you get from a doctor to help control the case, he has in there genetic information to you. That's protected by the safe harbor of the gene. Yeah. In my book, and I'll keep you all listed, but when that book becomes, we're going to finish the book by the end of this year. It's going to have all these things and all the legal references and everything in good order, and you'll be able to go to a reference book and find out any information about how the test should be designed, and what's all the laws about GINA, HIPAA, disability, ADA, all that.
What kind of lead time do you need to send a guy in to get drilling and get tested?
What kind of lead time do you need to get a person tested? Once we've done everything, to validate the jobs and create your tests, we try to get them in the same day, but a lot of clinics just can't. So it's usually the next day, you know, or on some occasions where extremely busy, it could be 2 days, but the test results are given the same day. You're going to get a web-page, fax, or email that says the person met the requirements of the job, ready to go, or they were sent away for further evaluation, medical evaluation, or they did not pass the test. And then when you get that did not pass test, we then get on the phone with you and talk to you about whether or not you need to do an accommodation review. It's mandatory. And you can still do it optionally. But you know, the reality of the world, I won't lie to you, is that sometimes the clinic has a tremendous busy day. Some companies send in 30 guys and they got 20 patients, and now you want your guy sent the same day. We like to get the clinic to say, look, stay as late as you can to get it done, because we know turnaround is important. And a lot of the clinics will do that. They'll do whatever they can to get that person done the same day. But we like to have, what kind of leeway? Was Lori here?
Yeah, she had to step out, but I think two things I could actually probably
would you
provide on
address
that
that one?
is one is going back to the actual getting to the test is the longest time. So the job validations, getting on site, and it really depends on the companies, how many job descriptions they have. We can group job descriptions, so like we've got companies that come to us and say, well, I got 100 job descriptions, but you have a mechanic 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe there's not very much difference there. So usually when Lori goes on site,
we collapse those
you're
together.
taking about 3 to 4 hours per job description. So she'll go, say she goes to a remote site, Valdez or North Slope or somewhere here in Alaska. You know, she can get a number of those job descriptions done in one day. She'll usually go up for 2 or 3 days, maybe come back. And usually what companies try to do is say, well, these are the most critical job categories we want to get started with immediately, and then she'll do another visit later. But we oftentimes tell companies it takes 2 to 3 months before you start testing, because it does take time to document it on the job validations on site, get the physical job descriptions, which Rick puts all of them together with his team, and then get to the testing protocols, which, as he mentioned, were vetted by you as your organization, your folks in the field. When it comes to testing itself, remember, it's one-on-one with the physical therapist. So, you know, we will have oftentimes 3 or 4 people in here at a time, and it's about an hour to an hour and a half between going through the musculoskeletal exam and coming out and doing the actual testing protocol. So it does get constrained when we're in Alaska in particular. You have huge hiring periods, whether it's, you know, maybe we didn't have so much last year in the wintertime with ice roads and drilling and everything, but you know, this year, this summer was huge with all the road construction going on still here around town and everything. A lot of contractors and that. So we get them accommodated pretty well. Not oftentimes it's very last minute here at Beacon, but we try to encourage that.
And to reiterate what Mark said, the initial creation of your program, you say 2 to 3 months, that's a long time. You gotta understand, this is extremely important because you're only gonna do this one time. And these are becoming legal. In other words, you don't want to rush into create some kind of protocol and find out after the fact that, hey, we didn't really do this right, and then you slam. We want to make sure that you do this process ironclad, legally ironclad. And that in 2 to 3 months incorporates running some of your incumbent employees through, which I hope a company would do. They don't have to, but we like them to run a few of their incumbents through to give that written feedback. Like you say, we not only validated it on site by independent ergonomists, but we had experienced employees go through the test and all said that this test represents what they did. And that kind of gives you, I mean, EEOC just says, wow, they go, this is the way it should be done. They've never actually even told that to me, which is kind of the ultimate compliment. Because I don't know if you've ever seen the EEOC in action. I'm an expert witness in many of these EEOC cases hired by other attorneys for other people. And I've seen documents of their emails. Mark is amazing. They're not only encouraging the person to sue the employer, they're telling them how much to sue for based on previous lawsuits that were similar. They are an advocate of the plaintiff. And I always thought before that, naive, and I guess I was naive, I thought they were supposed to be independent, But maybe it was just a bad EEOC rep, I don't know. But the thing is, that's why getting these things, it all depends on how many job titles we're going to analyze. Lori's extremely efficient. We've done this for so many years now that if we go to a job title we've done 100 times, it's not going to take us that long unless you have some exceptional difference in that job title. But we get it done as quickly as we can for you. But once it's set up, it's just a matter of referring the person over, and it's either the same day, next day, or within 2 or 3 days, we can do that evaluation.
Are you gonna be hanging this a little while, because I have a couple of questions that are outside just Alaska that I don't want to bore everybody with, so.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Any other questions?
One real quick one. As far as the relationship here, you're the Worksaver, you're the functional test, you set the guidelines. Speaking of kind of like Proctor, you prove that they're great to work with. But if I were going to do something with public money, I have to put out pre-bids or anything like that. Is it something I can go directly to Beacon, or do I really have to reference that because that's the level of testing I'm going through?
Well, if it's going to include this, I'm going to let Mark answer that, but I would think it'll be a joint response.
I'm sorry. So what you're trying to?
Well, what I'm trying to do is establish we can do this. I can't just come to Beacon and say, give me this, but you're giving me that. So I have to be very clear in an RFP how we do this and make sure that it's all right.
So we've partnered with Worksaver to deliver on the Worksaver system because we feel it's the most legally defensible and best system out there. Okay. So that is where our relationship has been for the past 6 years, and we have implemented clients nationwide hand in hand with Rick. I mean, Lori's gone to Bakersfield and Houston and Louisiana and everything else because clients may have operations in different places and they don't want to have necessarily different job descriptions because people do move around and things like that. So we work hand in hand.
And
we need specific information. You could ask Rick or I, and we'll get to it.
My advantage of working with you is you're in state, and that gives you an advantage, and that's what I'm looking for, the easiest way to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
All right, well, if there's any other questions, we can certainly, we'll be around here, so Rick's not going anywhere. First of all, I want to thank Rick. He's an expert, he's a friend. We certainly value each other's personal as well as business working relationship. I just want to key in on a few things that Rick said because there was a lot here. So definitely, as you start from the 10,000 view, you're going to have other questions. Feel free to reach out to us. I mean, as he mentioned, a lot of companies will ask, well, who do you test? You test all the incumbents. Nobody goes out and tests all their employees. They usually infuse it through the pre-employment, and then they also do the return to work and the for cause, which Rick mentioned. But the return to work is a great tool to start to get it back through that incumbent workforce that may have worked for you for the past 15 or 20 years, but they're certainly not in the same shape they were when you maybe hired them on. And that might have been the last time they ever went through an exam with you. One of the things I do like to point out is when people do fail to meet the minimum functional essential needs, our team has handouts they usually give to those employees, whether it's around physical strength, cardiovascular, whatever that might, they may fail because they can't properly lift. Our physical therapist will show them, and if they continuously choose to do it unsafely, we'll stop the test. As Rick said, we are not going to hurt somebody going through a premium employment test. The other thing is people go, well, does this mean I don't hire them? And as Rick said, you go through an accommodation review. At the end of the day, it's never up to us to decide whether or not you hire somebody. We've had clients that say, hey, he's the only crane operator available and we need him for a job. They're going to hire him. They still benefit from knowing that he has limitations. They may accommodate it the best they can. They may, at the end of the day, just know they have a good baseline to go back to whether or not there's a workman's comp injury later. We operate remote clinics around the state, around Louisiana and elsewhere. 90% of what we see in all these clinics, and Wes, who was here earlier as HSE director at Conoco, attested as well. 90% is personal medical conditions that walk into the clinics in those remote sites. So we're dealing with it either whether it's treated there or you have to flight it off because cardiovascular or whatever else it is. And so if you can prevent that from going out to the field because they're not meeting those minimum functional essential needs, you're not only saving yourself the potential of injuring themselves, but also injuring their coworkers, which is oftentimes the case as well. As the coworkers in a small group, say electricians, maybe one person can't kneel, but that's an essential need. Well, it's putting those other folks at greater risk of potentially an injury too. So we're very proud of this program. As Rick said, neither one of us are hard sales guys. The benefits are there. Clients usually call me up within a month and say, man, I've paid for this program for the next 3 years just on some of the things. I will say in ending, the biggest challenge is you guys are all here, so you guys probably see the benefits of it. It's usually from operations. 15% failure can have an impact, right? Especially if you're going out we do all these road contractors, we do, drilling contractors, everything else. And of course, they're gearing up quick, union, non-union, and they come through here. And if you're seeing 15%, that means they're not getting to the field just as fast. So it usually takes at least one season or 2 seasons for really that culture of understanding of what people have to go through. But it's been going on so long now. As I said, we did over 3,000 tests this last year just through this facility. Obviously, those clients get to know that. So really you want to make sure that operations is included right at the very front, because that's usually the biggest impact. They're the ones that are used to just getting people out there, right? They're calling you if you're in HR, saying, hey, get these people out here, and when they're not showing up, it's usually impacting them. So getting them involved early is always a big positive and a big win. And lastly, I've had people come in here and say, look, I want to screen out all the old people and all the fat people. We say, well, we don't do that.
You don't say that.
No, we don't say that. We test for those minimal functional essential needs. And your example of that 32-year-old, we have seen it time and time again. Young people don't know they have any health issues. So yes, it's no. They come in here, we've had to send them directly to the ER, we've had to send them directly to the doctor. I mean, we've had people's parents and moms call up and just tell us how thankful they were that we've identified things. So it's not the older generations, not the obese, it's everyone now. So
we have a bad phenomenon in this country right now. People are getting heavier and out of shape at younger ages. And you know what? Everybody, the babies are being born and coming out with a cell phone in their hand, a laptop. And I was actually walking around that lake behind Lori's house with a dog, and even the people walking out there, 90% of them were on their cell phones. Disconnected. But the thing is, it's becoming so sedentary, and I don't want to generalize too much, but we're seeing arthritis and diabetes, and that used to be old age type conditions in people in their 20s and teens. And so I had 2 young guys, 18, 19 years old, that wanted to go work offshore and be roughnecks, and they couldn't do 5 push-ups, and they were both collectively 700 pounds together. And so I said, you're in the wrong business. If you want to do what you want to do, you got to look at it. If you want to go home and play your computer games, you better be a computer analyst or something, because you're going out there to do some real work, and that's different.
So thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming today. Please leave your name in the sign-in sheet, as Rick said,
And
to get you this presentation.
your email, if you don't mind, and I'll
You want
send you
more
a copy
information?
of the presentation, and that way, and I can put you on our e-newsletter, which I've gotten a lot of good feedback on that, and I think you'll like it. Again, you can always opt out on it. We have a little thing if you want to unsubscribe. And it's not marketing, it's simply educational.
If you want any information, just come ask Rick or I, and we can certainly give you more. So thanks again for coming, everyone. Have a great day.